We're proud to work with the VA Community Care Network. Let us help you regain your mobility and enjoy the active life you deserve. In addition to the VA Community Care Network, we are also in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna. We accept motor vehicle accidents and workman's comp cases.
To schedule an appointment with Briscoe Chiropractic, visit drqmb.com or call 337-534-0091. That's drqmb.com or 337-534-0091. Because your spine deserves expert care.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros were dismantled by the Los Angeles Angels last night, falling in the series rubber match 18-3. With the loss, the Astros are back to even 500 with 64 wins and 64 losses. Their division lead sits at 1 game over the Rangers, and they'll begin a 3-game series against the A's tonight at 7:10. You can listen to the action of that one on ESPN 1037 Lafayette, 1041 Lake Charles. The NFL preseason rolls on all weekend, and the New Orleans Saints will be out in Los Angeles to face the Rams on Saturday. Kickoff from SoFi Stadium is set for 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon as players look to move further towards solidifying their roster spots. Former Louisiana Raging Cajuns baseball player Lee Amadei appears to be back in the fold after a judge ruling gave players back their 5th year of eligibility. Amadei will begin practicing with the team again in hopes of playing another season with UL in 2027. Former LSU baseball pitcher Cade Anderson is getting his chance in the big leagues. The top prospect was called up by the Seattle Mariners, and he will make his major league debut tomorrow. After 43 years in college athletics, former LSU staffer and SEC head of communications Herb Vincent will be retiring after this college football season. And on the PGA Tour, it was a 5-way tie for the lead after one round at the BMW Championship, the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Rory McIlroy and 4 others all led the way, shooting a 6-under 64. Round 2 will take place today from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm Dawson Isolo, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 1037 Lafayette, 1041 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserlo prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. It is Friday. ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles, anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, and of course streaming at you live on YouTube every single day. Record number of streams, by the way, on yesterday's edition of RP3 and Mesh. We've seen the numbers. Thank you to those who tuned in. James Mesh's fantasy football guest was a big hit over there on the YouTube world. So reminder, you can be streaming us every day if you'd like. Great thing to put on in the background while you get worked on or pretend to get worked on a Friday. I'm not going to tell on you if you're not the most productive in the world. I have been productive on this Friday, though. I started it off early hanging out with the Blonde Bomber on the Jordy Holtberg show because BP was out, so I was helping him this morning. And we have navigated our way through the day, and we are keeping the train on the tracks for the next 2 hours here with the LohDown. We've got a great show lined up for you to close the week. Preview 32 is encapsulating this show at this time of the year, which is what I love. It gets me all the way into football mode. The NFL season is near. I haven't even told James this yet, but I have just made 2 purchases of the college football and Madden bundle because I found a good deal on them. I'll tell you about that deal after the break, James. Don't worry. I'll get you in on that, although I know you were feeling mixed emotions on getting the games this year as well. I was supposed to be a general manager in this lifetime, right? And hey, who knows? Dream's not dead yet, but I took some different career paths, went into broadcasting instead. I just have to get my general manager fix at some point, and turning my favorite college team or an adopted college team or an NFL team into champions is how I do that in some of my free time. So we've made the purchase. We'll see. I've heard mixed reviews on how those games are doing right now. Anyway, that's not the biggest point of today's show. The point of today's show is to talk a lot of football, a little baseball, and unfortunately, legal jargon. I'd love it if we didn't have to talk about this stuff anymore, but yesterday we had all this excitement, and then today it was like, hey, here's your Christmas present. Open it up. You like it? Yeah. Guess what? You can't have it anymore. That's kind of what today's been so far as eligibility is concerned with some players that it impacts locally and nationally. So we will start the show there. But the guest list is a great one. We got Chaston Tavares. He's somewhere on a lake. He's like, hey, man, I'm enjoying my last little vacation, right? The same way I did Chicago last weekend. Chaston's like, we're full steam ahead with the start of the season next week, week 0, McNeese. Of course, he does a ton of broadcasting for them. So he's like, I'm somewhere on a lake, but I'll answer your phone call on Friday afternoon. We can still chop it up. So shout out to him for that, and hopefully his relaxing weekend is going well. So that'll be at 1:30 in his normal time slot. Then we've got back-to-back, well, I guess there'll be a segment in between, but 2 Preview 32s in the second hour. Top of the hour, Mia O'Brien covers the Jacksonville Jaguars. She's with ESPN Radio now, by the way, in the family. Mia's been awesome. We've been having her on for several years now. We've talked with her everything from the Florida Gators to Trevor Lawrence and company. She covers that team better than anyone, so we'll talk Jacksonville Jaguars with Mia at the top of the hour. And then at the bottom of the hour, we'll flip over the Arizona Cardinals. Not a ton of excitement about that team. They got rid of Kyler Murray in the offseason. But what is it going to look like? Alex Clancy of the Locked On Cardinals podcast will join us at the bottom of hour number 2. So Jaguars and Cardinals, opposite ends of the country, opposite conferences, but we will head to both locations here this afternoon, and we will be continuing to check off the boxes. I have, by the way, I told this to you to start, I have almost next week's entire guest list already set in stone, or at least written in erasable marker, maybe is a better way to write that, because we got to get through all these Preview 32s. And as always, you do the math on the days you have left, and then you start realizing, oh, yeah, and then Labor Day is a day where we don't have a show, and then, the Astros have a game here that's going to be a day game. So I'm like, all right, I have less days than I thought I did to get all these fit in. But the good news is we got off to a good start, and next week I already have, I think, 8 of them on the lineup, so we're going to be getting through them all. That is a promise that I intend to keep. For now, though, as I said, let's get the legal jargon stuff out of the way. Let's talk NCAA eligibility on this edition of Locked In.
D-Loh is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D-Loh was locked in on the LohDown.
Okay, so I closed yesterday's show with some of this news about the NCAA and the TROs and Lee Amadei in particular, because that one was kind of the one that was closest to home that we could kind of make some sort of, that we could get excited about. We talked about him with the Cajuns baseball team. And I did add in, and I tried to make my best to kind of make this clear when I said it on the show, in that this was not like a done deal, signed, sealed, and delivered. Here's your number 8 jersey back. We'll see you playing first base, bat, and third to start the season in February, Lee. It was never going to be that easy. And so I am surprised how quickly the events of today happened, but I'm not surprised that they happened at all. And honestly, I don't know. I haven't talked to Lee about it or Coach Deggs or anyone like that, but I would imagine they're not stunned either. I think there was an understanding from everybody involved in this situation that this wasn't definite. Now, Lee still posted the video saying he's coming back, and this was picked up by D1 Baseball, Kendall Rogers, and everyone in between. This was published. Hey, Lee Amadei's coming back to the Cajuns next year. But we always knew, and I tried to describe that, which I don't know all the inner workings of how it's going down because it's just so confusing at times. So here is my best attempt at explaining what went down. And Lee's situation is, I don't know if it's all that unique to some of the other ones, but of course, now what's going to happen is these are going to get separated into individualized hearings, which It's just such a headache, man. But anyway, let's give our best attempt. So what I saw and what is so far like proven to be true is that there were TROs granted for all class of 22 players. Remember, the class of 22 would have graduated, right? They would have started their college careers in 23 and then 24, 25, and 26. So they would have used up their 4 years of eligibility, assuming they didn't redshirt. And that's the whole thing, right? The new rule that's been passed is 5 for 5. So if you were in that class of 22, even if you didn't redshirt, you played right away in 23, 24, 25, and 26. Well, you still have that 5th year, and you have a 5th year of eligibility to use in that case. So all these athletes basically, as I kind of described yesterday, got together and said, well, wait a minute. Why are we not grandfathered into this? Like, we were still at these schools, and we just finished our college careers. Why don't we just get an extra year to use like everyone else is going to have moving forward? And that's when you had these kind of like this sweeping national TRO, temporary restraining order, that was passed. Well, then what ends up happening is the 10th Circuit granted the NCAA's request in Wisney versus the NCAA, which is this whole thing. So that's the United States Court of Appeals. Man, remember when you were sitting there in government class and you were like, you've got the legislative branch and the judicial branch and the executive branch. And I've mentioned it before. I took a couple law classes in college, so I kept along those lines. And I know particularly for myself, you're probably sitting there going, much like maybe in geometry, when am I ever going to use this stuff? And yet here I am in sports broadcasting trying to decipher between what the 10th Circuit of the Court of Appeals is saying in a legal document. So as another nice reminder, I am by no means a lawyer or a legal expert, but basically the NCAA got a little win here. So what it did was, and I don't understand what does confuse me, I always have known, right? Well, the higher level of the court you get, the more control they have, right? A city court can maybe overturn a parish court decision, and then a state court over a city, and then a national court over a state court. So you had rulings in one state, then impacted by a national appeal that was heard and, for now, granted to the NCAA. So the class of 22 athletes are now ineligible, but there's a caveat. James, I'm so glad you asked what the caveat is. If they have their own lawsuit or injunction, they might still be able to grab that eligibility. But what happened was yesterday, we had this sweeping notion across that was basically saying everybody who exhausted their last eligibility in 22 can get the 5th year. Today, that is no longer the case. Now, if you had an individual, so you might be saying, well, wait a minute. What about Trinidad Chambliss, who's playing another season for Ole Miss? Well, Chambliss, if you remember, had his own individual case heard, which they talked about that injury he suffered when he was back in junior college and lost opportunity for revenue, all that other stuff. So Chambliss is okay because he already had his own individual appeal heard. Someone like Liamide, and I would imagine Jack Pyburn, right? Remember Pyburn from that Louisiana court overruling? That's the one that started to put him back in the idea of maybe going back to LSU. The ones who are part of that sweeping decision will now have to get their own individual appeals heard. So if you're sitting there going, that's a bunch of scrambled eggs, I don't know what to make of any of that, I'm with you. I'm doing my best here. But it's basically to say this is nowhere near over. And as of now, Lee and all these other players have, in the span of a week, they were ineligible, then they got eligible, and now they're ineligible again, despite the fact that, of course, basically nothing has changed on their end. And we will see where this goes from here. So, as far as I know, with like Lee's case in particular, he did sign a professional contract. It was not a Major League Baseball contract. It was with an independent league. So does that play into it? Is he going to have, is there going to be a conversation heard? As we've said, we've seen in the past injuries matter. And maybe if you can prove your opportunity to make money matters. I don't know what any of that's going to look like. But I know, and it's tough because I got a lot of messages yesterday and obviously well ingrained with Cajun Nation. Everybody was fired up about this, and it was exciting to go, wait a minute, this team that everyone already thought was going to be pretty good is now getting one of their best players back in the fold that they didn't even expect to have, and now you don't know that for sure. As far as I know, his plan was to start practicing with the team and doing fall workouts, but he was already not going to be able to play in the fall scrimmages, right? Because now they can play other teams in a couple fall scrimmages. I don't know if any of that's changed as of now, but we will see. This is not done for Lee, and it's not done for all these class of 2022 high school graduates that are trying to get one more year of college eligibility. All right, that's enough legal jargon and document reading for the day. Let's take a break. Let's come back and talk some actual sports. You're listening to the LohDown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Storm season is in full swing, and so far, so good, right, in this part of the country, but you never do know. And so hopefully these storms are going to continue to stay away. But if one does come crawling up the Gulf here into our area, you want to be prepared ahead of time. Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley is teaming up with us at ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station to bring you some hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with food, water, and medications. They sell kind of some of these already ready-made kits. I've been seeing them at Walmart and Costco, places like that too. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with a battery-powered radio, and make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. For more information, visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Palermo. Join us on Tuesday nights for Tiger Rag Radio. Myself, Todd Horn, and Glenn Gilbo give you the latest happenings in Tiger Town and across the SEC. We talk to coaches, analysts, and those in the know when it comes to the Tigers and the Southeastern Conference. We cover all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, softball, and gymnastics. That's Tuesday nights right here on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette and 104.1 in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Misfits Dine and Drink, a destination restaurant in Broussard, is constantly evolving. Dine in for great food and a great atmosphere. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or brunch on Saturday or Sunday, stop in to enjoy a handmade gourmet pizza or one of their delicious pastas. Take a sip of their new and seasonal craft cocktails and mocktails. And don't forget dessert. Try the birthday cake bread pudding. Whether it's new menu items or old favorites, come to Misfits for a great food experience. It's classic Italian with a modern twist. Misfits Dine and Drink, 200 Heritage Parkway off Highway 90 in Broussard.
Home electrical safety, up next from Mr. Electric. Because one power strip can clearly handle your TV, your radio, your lamp, your phone charger, your heater, and whatever else you get plugged in there. Of course, that's sarcasm. Do not overload your outlets and never run cords under rugs or furniture. And if an outlet is hot, a breaker keeps tripping, or something smells suspiciously bad, call a licensed electrician. When it comes to electricity, trying to be a hero is a great way to end up in the news for the wrong reason.
If you would like to learn more, visit MrElectric.com.
It's generator season. Here's Sean Dore with Mr. Electric.
Standby generators are automatic. These come on right as your power's off. Right when you lose power, here comes your generator power within less than a minute. And now you're running like normal. And so those generators, they're a little more expensive, but they are very convenient.
Call Mr. Electric today or see us on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit GoVote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
You know the routine. Eat, sleep, sports talk, repeat.
Well, up and at 'em.
We're here. Here is more daily sports talk from ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles.
Okay, so we're back. I promised some actual sports because the fifth-year eligibility stuff is just... This, by the way, this also does include... So it doesn't include Chambliss. I told you he's his own... That's a different story. But remember Stephen Daly from Indiana, where we found out a couple weeks back that he was back in the fold and was going to play for the Hoosiers this year? Well, that does include him. So he's been back practicing. As far as I know, he's been back practicing with Indiana under the assumption that he's going to play this year. And now he is also temporarily, I guess, ineligible as well. It's just a mess. So we will, at some point, hopefully get a little bit more clarity with that. But I did want to talk a little PGA Tour here, just because the FedEx Cup playoffs are going on. And I do think, I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the week, like it is still way too confusing, and they are going to fix this because there is going to be a new format. And I think match play is probably one of your best bets. But JJ Spawn is 11 under for the tournament. He's 5 under today. And this is how funny golf can be, right? Rory McIlroy basically was in last place like almost all week last week, and everybody was making jokes because apparently he was in Ibiza having himself a great time and really not worried about golf all that much. And they were like, well, no wonder he's playing terrible. He's been drinking on a yacht all summer. And Scottie Scheffler won the tournament by 8 shots. He was literally dominant. So fast forward to this week, and Scottie Scheffler started today in dead last. He has made his way up to tied for 41st out of the 50 golfers in the field, but he is off of his game. And Rory McIlroy is tied for 4th, 7 under par. He was the co-leader at the end of the first round. So golf is just that sport, and that's why you can go from shooting 68 to 84, or in Rory's case, shooting in the high 70s last week and shooting 64 at a really tough course in St. Louis this week. So the BMW Championship there. Oh, Spawn made a bogey, so the lead is only 2. He's at 10 under, but Patrick Cantlay, Michael Thorbjornsen are both 8 under, and then McIlroy, Goddard, and Gary Woodland all 7 under. As I mentioned, Scottie Scheffler near the bottom of the leaderboard. But Scheffler and McIlroy and all the guys who are way at the top of the FedEx Cup standings, this tournament really is just for some extra prize money for them because they're going to advance to the Tour Championship no matter what. And remember, last couple years, before last year, they still had that thing where you started with a certain number of strokes, so there was a benefit to finishing first as opposed to second going into the Tour Championship. That no longer is a thing. Everybody starts on equal footing next year. It's just the 30 golfers who make it. So not a necessarily important tournament for Scheffler or Rory, but still, there are some guys on the bubble that are looking for it. Robert McIntyre, the McNeese Cowboy, Sam Burns is looking to get to the championship, as is Ricky Fowler, Justin Rose. Those guys all near the cut line, so they're going to need to play pretty good golf the rest of the weekend to have a chance to make it to East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta for the Tour Championship. Okay, past that. As far as Saints camp yesterday, it was nice to see we didn't have any fights. That's great, as the Saints got another joint practice in. They won't be doing a whole lot today because, of course, they play tomorrow. And preseason game number 2 against the Rams should be interesting. Some news that we actually haven't talked about on the show yet that dropped yesterday is that the Saints and Cowboys each got fined $500,000 for their scuffles, their repeated scuffles, I might add. So we had heard that the NFL had requested film from practice. And you're like, yeah, probably wasn't to just see how crisp those routes were by Barrion Brown. They probably wanted to look at them for some sort of extracurricular stuff. I guess the good thing, there was a little bit of fear in me that maybe, because you remember there was that video of Eric McCoy like taking somebody's helmet and throwing it 40 feet in the air. And I was like, we better not get any suspensions out of this. And fortunately, there weren't any suspensions, at least that we've found out about by now. The NFL is the judge, the jury, and the executioner here. So if they change their mind, I'm sure they won't feel bad about making that obvious. But the Saints and Cowboys were made an example of. And why do the Saints always get made an example of? I don't know. If you believe in conspiracies and you think Goodell hates the Saints, I mean, I'm not going to fully disagree with you, although I'm not sure that's exactly what was at hand here. But the interesting thing is we've seen some pretty big scuffles around the league. And we saw more of them yesterday that didn't involve the Saints. Look, would you argue with me and maybe say the Saints-Cowboys one was the worst of the bunch? I probably would agree with that. So I get it, but I'll be interested to see if some of these other teams that have been involved in these brouhahas will get fined as well, and or what the amounts are. Look, I think the Saints can cut the check. I think they'll be all right. They certainly charge enough for beer and popcorn on Sundays. Hopefully they don't try to recoup that fine money out of the pockets of the season ticket holders, but it was at least worth noting that was the end result, at least as of now, and that no one got suspended, which is good. Let's go ahead and have Eric McCoy on the field in week 1. That'd be a nice thing to have. As far as like what I'm looking for, we did see Zach Wilson go with the ones. I mean, not the ones, the twos. I'm saying the ones as if like it's just him against Rattler. But remember, that's for the backup job because the Saints do have this guy named Tyler Shuck that's going to be the starter. But getting to see more of Zach Wilson, I think, would be beneficial. It's also, I think, fair to flip the court. I think anytime you have a legit quarterback battle, whether it's for the starter or the backup role, I think it's fair to flip who plays with which team because – like, we've seen this in the past sometimes, and that's when I kind of think to myself, when a team's kind of trying to tell you who they want to win the job, is like, yeah, they've got this guy who they've been running with the ones all week long, and then he got to play the 3 drives with the starters, and then 2 more drives with like a couple of the twos, and then the other guy who's competing for the job played with nothing but backups and third stringers while he was trying to show out. It's like, well, that's probably because they're pretty much just going to go with the first guy anyway, and it's a formality. If it's a true battle, I think you flip that. And so whether Zach Wilson has actually passed up Spencer Rattler or not, I don't know if that's what we would learn from him starting tomorrow. I think it's just fair for him to start because Rattler got to play with the ones. Obviously, it's a lot of twos. It's not all the ones anyway because they're resting some of the starters. But with, the best guys who are available, and then Rattler should have to play with the leftovers the way Wilson did last week. I think that's the fair way to do it. And then if Wilson balls out again with that group as well, then I think you're really starting to be ready to maybe have that conversation. Whereas if Rattler plays better, same thing. We'll see where we're at the end of this. The other big thing is what I want to see tomorrow is kicks go through the uprights. I am rooting for Charlie Smith to win the kicker job. I've said that before. I like the story, the fact that he's from Ireland, all that stuff, little loose family connection there as well. But regardless, whoever it is, whether it's Tanner Brown or Charlie Smith, the Saints need confidence in that position. And so seeing a couple big kicks, maybe some long ones, maybe a 50, 55-yarder, I wouldn't be, if the Saints have a drive that stalls out near the 35, 40-yard line and they want to trot somebody out there to try and make a big, long kick, I would have no issues with that because I want to see one of those players really grab that job and take it by storm. Also, by the way, if the Saints do punt, and I think they probably will have a punt or two in this game, I don't think they're going to pull out an old Drew Brees, Thomas Morstead special where the punter never sees the field. Ryan Wright's the punter. Like, you signed him. You paid him a lot of money. Let's see him just blast one up into the sky. That'd be nice. Like just a booming, blasting 60-yard punt. I want to see one of those tomorrow as well. Some great catches and some nice throws would be good too, but I want to see the specialists do their thing in L.A. tomorrow. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. Let's switch gears a little bit. As I mentioned, Chaston Tavares is ready to join us. We will talk to him about his Red Sox and the McNeese Cowboys, who are a week and a day away from starting their season with a conference game. That's next.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Our friends over at Small Sliders are doing it right. We've been telling you about them for quite a while now. They've had a pretty big summer. It goes all the way back, of course, the first annual eating championship, the third-year birthday celebration. All that stuff is behind us, though. And so now we're looking ahead to the fall. A lot of fun stuff coming up for Small Sliders. Make sure to be, still tuned in. We'll be letting you know about them as we always do. But I'll tell you what, it's a great place to just stop by, grab yourself lunch or dinner. It's fast, it's convenient. They don't sacrifice quality for speed, though. I've said that to you before. You're going to get that same Small Sliders experience wherever you go, whatever time of day, which is fresh food, smiling faces. The service is great. They're friendly over there. and tell them D-Loh sent you. Maybe they'll throw in a little something extra for you, or at least be a little bit happier while they do it. So our friends over at Small Sliders, 2 locations in the Lafayette area, Ambassador, Caffrey, and Bertrand Drive. Slide through today.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros were dismantled by the Los Angeles Angels last night, falling in the series rubber match 18-3. With the loss, the Astros are back to even 500 with 64 wins and 64 losses. Their division lead sits at 1 game over the Rangers, and they'll begin a 3-game series against the A's tonight at 7:10. You can listen to the action of that one on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles. The NFL preseason rolls on all weekend, and the New Orleans Saints will be out in Los Angeles to face the Rams on Saturday. Kickoff from SoFi Stadium is set for 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon as players look to move further towards solidifying their roster spots. Former Louisiana Raging Cajuns baseball player Lee Amade appears to be back in the fold after a judge ruling gave players back their 5th year of eligibility. Amade will begin practicing with the team again in hopes of playing another season with UL in 2027. Former LSU baseball pitcher Kate Anderson is getting his chance in the big leagues. The top prospect was called up by the Seattle Mariners, and he will make his major league debut tomorrow. After 43 years in college athletics, former LSU staffer and SEC head of communications Herb Vincent will be retiring after this college football season. And on the PGA Tour, it was a 5-way tie for the lead after 1 round at the BMW Championship, the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Rory McIlroy and 4 others all led the way, shooting a 6-under 64. Round 2 will take place today from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm Dawson Eislow, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Eislow. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Imagine building your dream backyard pool without ever leaving your couch. With Duplessis Builders, you can go shop our in-ground gunite pool packages online, start to finish. Browse our pool designs, compare features, see exactly what's included, and choose the package that fits your style and budget. Once you purchase, our team takes over. From permit and excavation to gunite decking and final startup, you click, we build, you swim. Your backyard upgrade is just a few clicks away. Visit duplessisbuilders.net and buy your pool online today.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
The experts at Web.com want to build your business a successful website for free, just like we did for these current Web.com customers.
We've looked at other website designers. There's nobody better than Web.com.
Web.com can build your website in as little as 7 days free. Plus, we'll promote it on all the major search engines. If after 30 days you're happy, we'll continue to provide promotion, hosting, support, and maintenance, all for one low monthly fee. If not, cancel and pay nothing.
If you're in business and you don't have a web presence, you won't
be taken seriously.
Call right now and you'll also get a free .com or .net domain name for your new website, powered by VeriSign, the world's leading domain name provider.
No upfront charge for site build, after which ongoing fees apply. Rights to site are relinquished when canceled. Domain included during active service, after which fees apply.
855-719-3099. 855-719-3099. 855-719-3099. That's 855-719-3099.
You're listening to ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. Your home for the best local sports talk in Southwest Louisiana.
All right, we're back here on the LohDown, and we head out to, well, I'd say Lake Charles, but I don't know where Chasten Tavares is. The point is he's enjoying himself. He's having a nice, relaxing week, and I'm deciding to bother him today, but he's a good sport about it. So what's up, Chasten? Where are you?
Oh, I'm on Toledo Bend at the moment.
Okay.
I'm trying to catch my days away. I'm trying to get my days away to add up to you guys. You guys have been like world travelers over the last couple of weeks. I'm just trying to get up there as well.
We have been, and nobody knows better than me the idea that the schedule, once you get past the middle portion of August, there's no more openings. So it's like if you got something you want to do, let's go ahead and do it right now. So I understand that fully.
No doubt. But look, hey, the work hasn't stopped over here. Look, I basically took a week off to just sit at the lake and work on football. That's what I've done this week, because we get going next week. So the work doesn't stop, though.
No doubt. The work doesn't stop for the Boston Red Sox either. The last time we talked to you, Chasten, you were getting your World Series tickets secured and flights and things of that nature. So Are we still feeling that, even though the Sox have hit like a little bit of a mini skid here?
Yeah, I mean, look, kind of where the Sox are at is like you said, like a mini skid, and yeah, I think they're like 4-6 in their last 10, or something like that. But look, they went on that 35-5 stretch, and look, they had to push guys, and you're pushing bullpen arms to win games every night. And you're pushing your position guys to play every night. So they've got Wilson Contreras, who's going through a lot. I mean, God, he's nursing 5 or 6 different injuries. Caleb Durbin doesn't have a pinky. He's also got a hamstring. There's a lot going on. They're kind of going through it, right? I think they're coming out on the other side of it. They added Adley Rutschman, which he's my goodness, the homer he hit the other night was unreal. And look, this is a team that's about to add some reinforcements. I mean, look, Roman Anthony, I think he may join the team as early as Monday. And look, you sent it to me. I watched it live the other night. He gets on base 4 times in his first appearance in baseball in 2 or 3 months. So look, if they get healthy and they're able to add a guy like Garrett Crochet to the bullpen, Tanner Houck to the bullpen, they get healthy. I'm still there. They've still got me in on one of the best teams in the American League.
I like watching Roman Anthony rehab assignment at bats. I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoy seeing the swing, seeing what it's looking like.
Look, and the crazy thing about it is, he was going through it there for a while, obviously with the injury before he ended up getting put on the IL with the wrist deal. But right as he was getting, he had the wrist injury, he was getting healthy. We hadn't seen swings like we saw in the AA minor league game. And obviously, like, it's minor league, whatever. You can only take those at bats so far. Those were the best swings we had seen from him all year. And, in the month and a half he played. So those were encouraging. When he hit that homer and that ball went out of the ballpark, look, I felt something.
There we go.
As the guy who's had him on the IL on my fantasy team for a while, I will love to have him back for the stretch run for that as well.
Late season push. All right, let's switch over to college athletics, Chasten, which is about as lawless as anything right now. I was funny too. I saw back-to-back videos earlier on my feed. One was a GTA 6, like the story about the gameplay leaking, and then the next one was this eligibility debacle. And I was like, you know what? College athletics kind of has the same number of rules as GTA does, so that's a good comparison. What do you make of all these guys who seemingly got eligibility yesterday and then lost it this morning?
Look, I'm going to be completely frank with you. I think when it comes to the 22s now, like the pro thing is a little bit different than just giving the eligibility back to the 22 folks. I do think the 22s should be able to play. There's no reason that the 2020s and the 2021 should have 5 years, and then every after 22 should have 5 years, but not the 22 to 22 kid. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't understand their reasonings behind it. Maybe I'm missing something. Now, the pro thing is a little bit different. I do not agree with that. But look, I mean, it infects kind of everybody. I mean, look, with the ruling today, I mean, I know like McNeese specifically kind of spring sport wise was looking forward to having a couple of their big coming back. I know the Cajuns were looking forward to having some folks come back potentially in the spring. Like, it doesn't only affect football. It obviously affects football kind of in the immediate. But it is fascinating. And obviously, like, I think we were all, I don't want to speak for you, but I know I was a little bit shocked today to see the 10th Circuit, kind of side with the NCAA on that. This felt to me like their last push to find a way to keep the 22s out. I didn't think it was gonna happen, so I was a little bit shocked to taken back to see that was a thing today. Now the pro side of it is a little bit different. Like Jack Pyburn should not play in college football this year. Like that, you played in a preseason game, like you signed a professional contract, regardless of like if you have to give them money back or not. To me, that is not college athletics as we know it. And I mean, I guess college athletics in general isn't what we've known it as, but what's going on right now in college athletics is so far from what we've all come accustomed to. It's pretty pathetic.
You're right, though, and that's where no matter how black and white one, like the biggest part of the argument is, there's always a gray area eventually. And so, like, I bring it too. Like, I think we all kind of look at the Pyburn situation and mostly probably feel the same way, right? Like the guy's playing in an NFL game in the preseason and all this stuff. But then it gets muddy, like even you just alluded to the Cajuns, like Lee Amade did not get drafted, signed an indie ball professional contract. It's technically a professional contract. And then it's like, well, he obviously wouldn't have done that if he knew he had a year of eligibility. But then you're like, well, how different is that from Jack Pyburn? They're both professional contracts. They're both the ability to say that you are now a professional. Like if someone went and played in a game for the Savannah Bananas, would you then say they're ineligible because they played in a professional baseball game? I guess that's when all these individual court cases, I guess just book up the courtrooms because they're going to be busy having these hearings for the next 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I don't know if anybody's going to be happy one way or the other. I mean, you just said it, like it is muddy, because maybe not everybody is playing at the highest level like a Jack Pyburn is, but you're still kind of in that weird little gray area. I don't know if there is a correct answer because it is tricky for like for some of the 22s who, you mentioned like a softball player like McNeese had an eye on a couple of softball players they could bring back. Baseball the same way that didn't sign professionally that were, I guess getting ready to sign up for LinkedIn, I guess, which I think most of them probably should do anyway. But like, so there is that kind of weird area of like those guys are being punished, because of the folks who signed professional contracts. I don't know. It's weird. Somebody's not going to be happy regardless of what happens. And look, quite honestly, I think we need to get rid of this whole, you get upset about something and immediately run to the court to a lawyer and the lawyer rules in favor and you immediately complain. Like that to me is just pathetic, but that is kind of just a grand layout of kind of our world today, I guess.
And no, it is the case. And we played it earlier in the week. Like Coach Des had a great quote about that. At some point, we need to just decide as people that we're going to play by the rules that are in place instead of trying to do exactly what you're talking about. But anyway, we are going to play football games regardless of I don't know who's going to be on the field and able to be on the field for any of these teams, but we're going to play games. McNeese is going to play one in 8 days, right? So what has maybe changed, or how are you feeling about where McNeese feels going into the start of the season, which, as we've talked about before, is, of course, a game that could impact who wins the Southland Championship?
Yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, they wrapped up they've wrapped up fall camp, and it's on to game week now for McNeese. I believe they've officially kind of shifted the focus to Stephen F. Austin, and look, I think it's looked better. Everybody who follows a team pretty closely, specifically through fall camp and spring ball and all that, everybody knows that defense is most of the time ahead of an offense. That's pretty much the case any camp you go to around the country, and that was kind of the case with McNeese. Look, first scrimmage, defense dominant. Second scrimmage, offense looked really good. It's kind of found its footing a little bit. Look, I think my grand takeaway from looking at fall camp is, look, I think McNeese is going to be able to play defense. That defense could be really, really good. Obviously led by Von Davis. That's a secondary that is really deep. The defensive line is going to be fascinating because I think, when you talk to Coach Peck, the defensive coordinator, he'll tell you, that's kind of the position group that's got the most question marks, but probably has the most upside because they've got so many different guys, so much depth. And look, they kind of made an emphasis on wanting to be able to rush the passer and be more athletic and get a little more speed on that defensive front. So you're going to see kind of a lot of 3 defensive end packages where they're going to be able to show off that speed a little more. So the defensive side of the football, I think, for McNeese can be really good. Offensively, look, they're going to be able to run the football. I know they've got a lot of depth on the offensive line. They are going to be able to run the football. Mary Wiggins, who was at Louisiana Tech the last couple of years, he's been really good. He had a really good first scrimmage. Trevante Citizen did not. Hutch Swilly, I know we talked about a couple of weeks ago. He was at UL. Hutch Swilly had a really good first scrimmage. So that room is going to be really deep. Trevante Citizen comes out, last scrimmage, and this past week at fall camp had a really good week. You look at it from the receiver room, and, the receiver room has a potential to be pretty daggone good, a lot of speed. The real kind of takeaway from there is, look, Curtis DeVille, who obviously is a local kid, went to Purdue and has come back, hasn't really been able to stay healthy over the last couple of years. He's gone through he and Trevante Citizen have both gone through their first full camp healthy of their career, and they've both looked really good. Curtis DeVille could be a real playmaker in the Southland if he's able to stay healthy. They've liked what they've seen. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Look, they are obviously play football in a week, and it's tough to gauge because Stephen F. Austin, look, that's a whole new team. I think they've got 63 new players, 60 newcomers or something like that, 40 transfers, 25 incoming freshmen. Like, they've got a lot of new guys. That was a very experienced team, an older football team from a year ago. Not so much this year. Coach Carthel made the comment during Southland Media Days that he wanted to be the most improved team in the Southland Conference. Well, obviously, it kind of got taken out of context because they were the conference champion from a year ago. But to his point, they've lost so many guys. They do have to be the most improved team from kind of spring ball to the first football game. And look, it's interesting because obviously Stephen F. Austin's pick number 1, pick to win the league this year. It's going to be a heck of a football game, I think, coming up in 8 days.
Next time we talk to you, it'll be game day eve, so we'll be able to go all in on that matchup, Chasten. Appreciate it. Enjoy your last few hours, days of retreat, and then it's full steam ahead, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Hey, appreciate it. One more question before I get you out of here. Do Red Sox fans boo Rafael Devers tonight? I say yes.
I think they will. Boston fans, I mean, it's Boston, right? I mean, I think so.
There it is. Hey, appreciate it. You guys have a good weekend.
That's Chasten Tavares. Appreciate him as always. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I didn't even think about that element of Devers being back in Boston tonight. All right, we'll do this. We'll take a break. We'll close out the first hour of the show after this. We have not introduced you yet to the foodie poll question of the week. I have some thoughts. We have some results. We'll share all those with you after this.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Look, we are still growing our YouTube channel. We actually hit a pretty big milestone for us, 1,500 subscribers. We had to build this thing from literally the ground up, so we've had a great time doing it. There's still time to hop on the bandwagon. As you know now, we are streaming our shows every day on there as well. ESPN_SWLA. We've got YouTube Shorts going up. All kinds of content from our Pro Football Hall of Fame experience, Foots Friday Fury, and more. So go ahead, subscribe to ESPN_SWLA on YouTube.
Delta Media is your home for Friday Night Football. STM on ESPN 1037, North Vermilion on 1063 Lafayette, Catholic High of New Iberia on Mustang 1071 FM, St. Landry Parish Game of the Week on Z1059, LRCA on News Talk 98.5 FM, and Barb on ESPN 1041. Listen to the games on the radio or on each station's free mobile app. Delta Media has you covered for thrilling Friday Night Football.
The best businesses aren't just businesses, they're neighbors. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino. They have the newest games around. Hot seat drawings and monthly specials like no one else. Located on the Bro Bridge Highway and on the banks of the Vermilion River. Come out today and try your luck at the Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local, certified South Louisiana.
Whether it's a tempting text message or a quick glance at your GPS, taking your eyes off the road for just a moment can have serious consequences. This includes turning around or reaching down. Distracted driving includes eating or putting on makeup. Distracted driving is anything that diverts your attention from driving. I'm Lorraine Luquette Vinoy with Service Chevrolet Cadillac, encouraging you to drive smart, drive safe, and keep those eyes on the road, Acadiana. This message is powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac and this radio station, where safety meets style on the road.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one #1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
All right, we're back here on the LohDown, closing out the first hour. As we mentioned before, we're not going to have a whole lot today on Saints camp since they're going to be mainly preparing for their preseason game yesterday. But as we said, like Zach Wilson was quarterback 2 in practice yesterday in the joint practice, so there's a decent chance he gets the ball first because we don't expect Tyler Shuck to play in this game as well. In the third preseason game, that's when you might see the #1 offense with Shuck leading the way, get their quote-unquote dress rehearsal in, maybe play a couple drives. We'll have to wait and see on that. That game, by the way, is against Dallas. So, by the way, after all that stuff with the Cowboys, going to play them in a preseason game on Friday, August the 28th to wrap up the preseason and get us set and ready to roll. They'll be that 2 weeks off. Remember that what used to be preseason week 4 is now just an off week for everybody to get themselves lined up and ready to roll for a September 13th Week 1 date for the Saints against the Detroit Lions. That game is in Detroit. Saints start the year with Detroit and Baltimore both on the road. They don't play a home game until September the 27th when the Raiders, could it be Fernando Mendoza playing quarterback, although he threw a 80-yard touchdown pass to the wrong team last night. That could be the first chance Saints fans have to see their team. Well, it will be the first home game for the Saints. We'll see if it's against Mendoza or not. We had a no-hitter in the Little League World Series this morning. Yesterday was completely wiped out, so they're playing all kinds of makeup games today. And Davenport, Iowa, threw a combined no-hitter against Bonita, California, winning the opening round matchup 1-0. So you saw Japan went down as well this morning to Willemstad. So Mexico beat Australia 7-1. Nicaragua plays Panama. Tacoma, Washington plays Bern, Texas. And then you have, Czechia against Korea and New Jersey against Pennsylvania to round out the day. So they're trying to get caught up over there in Williamsport. But a combined no-hitter was thrown today out there in Pennsylvania. Our poll question of the day is Foodie Poll Question of the Week on Friday. I like this question a lot. What's your favorite Foodie Day tradition? So a local one, Louisiana-based. New Orleans is the home of this tradition. Red beans and rice on Mondays. Taco Tuesday, I think that one's pretty universal. Fried fish on Fridays, another thing that's probably more southern-based than anything else, especially, very Catholic area here in Louisiana. You have Lent fish fries on Fridays, traditionally, when you're not allowed to eat meat and all that stuff. And then barbecue on Sundays, which I definitely have experienced that way more in Lafayette than I did in New Orleans from my time living in both. Like the whole get a barbecue plate on a Sunday thing is very big around here, pork steak and stuff like that. It's not, I don't know if it's not a thing in New Orleans, but it just was never a thing for my family growing up. Red beans and rice, those the winner for me, and it's not all that close. I was sharing this tradition. I think it was Kevin that asked me about it. The reasoning behind it, at least the wives' tale I've heard always, is that traditionally in New Orleans, Mondays were clothes washing days. And so whoever was preparing meals that day and getting all the housework done needed something they could just kind of put on the stove and not have to worry about. So red beans and rice fits the bill, right? You just get it boiling and you let it roll for a long time. Get all the ingredients in there and let them slow cook as long as possible. So that was why it was the tradition, because they get up on a Monday morning, get the red beans and rice rolling, and then they'd wash clothes all day. And then the beans would be ready when they were done in the evening time. So that's the best that I know of where the tradition originated. Nowadays, we got high-tech washing machines. We could probably wash clothes and cook a meal if we needed to, but it stuck. And so for me, it was always a thing for us. I wouldn't say every Monday. There was never a stretch where we were doing it every Monday, but pretty close at times. And then we carried that over even in this area. My dad used to host it at his house, have the whole neighborhood. I mean, literally, there was a point where like the whole neighborhood was coming over. His red beans and rice are unbelievable. I've taken after his recipe. We've made some slight modifications over the years. I think we've got it in a great spot. I'll take me and my dad's red beans over just about anybody's. So that for me is the answer here. I'm in on tacos on Tuesday, although I don't know if I've ever specifically, other than like being in a restaurant and maybe it happened to be a Tuesday and they have a special or something, I don't think I've ever seeked out tacos on Tuesday specifically. I think that's more LeBron's deal. I'm in on fish fry again, especially in the Lenten season. Nothing wrong with going to your local church or youth organization that's putting on a fish fry, supporting a good cause and getting some really good seafood. So I'm in on that as well. And as I said before, I do participate in a little barbecue plate on Sunday. I'm in on that, but for me, far and away, the number one option is red beans and rice. The leader in the poll answer results on Twitter right now is actually barbecue with 52%, red beans and rice in second with 33%. So let's do this. Let's take a break. As I mentioned, we've got two Preview 32s to do in hour number 2. We'll start it off with Mia O'Brien on the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's next.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
Imagine a place where wellness, luxury, and community come together. Welcome to City Club at River Ranch, Acadiana's premier private club. Enjoy a state-of-the-art fitness center, exceptional tennis and pickleball programs, resort-style amenities, and a vibrant social atmosphere. Whether you're pursuing your fitness goals or expanding your social circle, City Club offers an unmatched member experience. Visit cityclubatriverranch.com today. City Club at River Ranch, where lifestyle meets distinction.
Looking for the perfect way to spend your Labor Day? Head to Farm D Alley Golf Club, where the fairways are in great shape and the greens are ready for your best round of the season. Gather your friends, enjoy championship golf, and make the most of your holiday. Tee times are filling up fast, so don't wait. Book your Labor Day tee time today at Farm D Alley Golf Club and celebrate the holiday on the course. Farm D Alley Golf Club, your Labor Day golf destination. Book your tee time now.
Need peace of mind with your estate planning? Turn to Bill and Hebert, your trusted Acadiana hometown lawyers. At Bill and Hebert, we make estate planning simple and stress-free, ensuring your legacy is secure and your future is in the right hands. Don't wait. Schedule your consultation today at BillHebert.com. That's BillHebert.com. Safeguarding your tomorrow today.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
They've got a spot secured. While top overall pick Fernando Mendoza has progressed, Vegas must be patient here, believes ESPN football analyst Jordan Rogers.
Fernando Mendoza should not step on the field until he is ready. Not because Kirk goes down, not because they start 1-5. If it's early and they need a quarterback, Aiden O'Connell should be that guy right away. And then whenever it is that Mendoza is ready because of him, you go to him.
Men's world number one tennis player Jannik Sinner will miss this month's U.S. Open with a right knee injury. He hasn't played since winning a second straight Wimbledon title last month.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Monday, Sam Darnold and the Seahawks are trying to repeat as champions this year. But I'll tell you whether or not, I think they have enough pieces in place to actually get it done. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown, hour number 2 of 2 here on a Friday, hanging out inside the Beal and Hebert studios. It is unbelievably hot outside, 95 degrees and fully sunny, so we can experience every ounce of that humidity here on a Friday. But hopefully, other than that, your Friday is going well. We've got a lot of NFL coming up here in the second hour. We're going to knock out 2 of our Preview 32 series, starting on one end of the country and then going all the way across to the other, as a matter of fact. We'll be in Florida first and then in Arizona later in the hour. But with all that being said, let's start off, as we mentioned, in Jacksonville, Florida, where I imagine it's pretty close to 95 degrees and unbearably humid, where we find Mia O'Brien, covers the Jacksonville Jaguars, part of ESPN Radio as well. Mia, thank you for returning to the show. How have you been?
Absolutely. We actually just had probably the worst thunderstorm of the year roll through. Wow. Honestly, kind of rivaled that of a hurricane, but I do see some blue skies, and so I'm sure that those hot, humid temperatures will be back in about 5 minutes or so. It's Florida. Give it 5 minutes, the weather will change.
No doubt about it. Okay, well, we saw this Jaguar team up close a little bit in covering the Saints last week when they played in the Superdome in the first preseason game. Anything big in that game for you covering the team? Obviously, you know, a lot of the ones didn't play. Trevor didn't play, but what'd you gather out of that game against the Saints?
Yeah, it was good to see the pass rush production we've seen from the Jaguars' second and third teamers carry over against second and third teamers for the New Orleans Saints. And obviously we'll see what happens when that group is platooning with Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. But B.J. Green originally started his college career at Arizona State, finished up at Colorado, signed here as an undrafted free agent last year as a rookie. He has been an absolute menace, one of the top players in Jaguars training camp up to this point. He basically averages 2.5 sacks a practice. It was good to see him get into the backfield last week, and so to see that translate. Same with Danny Shugow, who also was an undrafted free agent a season ago, who came to the Jaguars by way of Minnesota. He, of course, was perhaps most famous for he was the one who was a late call-up to the Senior Bowl, and so he took an overnight flight from Minneapolis, and so in turn, he showed up the final day of practice, played in the game, and a lot of people really made a viral moment out of that. So if you're familiar with that story, that's who I'm referring to. And then Zach Durfee, the 7th-round pick out of Washington, who's been limited after suffering some sort of middle body injury. We don't actually know what it is. So he's been limited, but when he did play, you could see the carryover from what we've seen in practice, and that's obviously a sign of positivity for this Jaguars pass rush, which, while certainly the number one run defense in the NFL, over the last 8 years that I've covered the team, Dawson, it has been a bottom 10 unit when it comes to sacks.
Yeah, last year for this team too, it's got to be interesting to look back on, the number of games they won early in the season. They seemingly, kept finding ways to do it, and Trevor looked way better. And, we asked a lot of questions. Like, I remember talking to you this time last year, and there were a lot of really tough questions being asked about Trevor and the future of the offense and all that stuff. So just how, I guess, refreshing, exciting was it to see this team put together in what was an important year for a lot of members personnel-wise to put together a year that they did a year ago?
Yeah, it was obviously huge, and it's a confidence booster. But I think what's even more important is that comparatively to the 2022 to 2023 transition we saw in year 1 to year 2 of the Doug Peterson era, and this is with all due respect to Doug, who I have immense respect for, Liam Cohen is not settling for 13-4. It is very evident, anyone you speak to in that building, what they did last year does not matter. It's not winning them any games this upcoming season, and it's not going to help them achieve their ultimate goal. And he has stressed that year 2 is the most important year in developing a true program. It's something he saw firsthand when he headed out to Los Angeles to be the assistant wide receivers and then eventually assistant quarterbacks coach under Sean McVay in 2018, which was McVay's second season at the helm of the Rams, when they went to the Super Bowl. And so that's where I have immense confidence in this regime leading the Jaguars forward, because of the experience that Liam had with Sean at that pivotal moment in the Rams' trajectory. And I think that's where, the numbers last year were nice, the numbers for some players, which I'm sure you're going to ask me about Brian Thomas Jr., because I got some of our listeners to game night here on ESPN Radio in my mentions asking if the Las Vegas Raiders could trade for BTJ. BTJ is not going anywhere. And just because the quote-unquote production was down last year, close to 800 receiving yards, there's a lot of receivers who are dying on the vine for that sort of yardage across the league. I don't think that any of it matters going into this season, because this is an offense that's going to continue to evolve, and it's not going to set last year as the ceiling or the expectation. They believe there's still more meat on the bone.
It was an offseason where, I don't know if quiet's the right word, but it clearly seemed like they felt really good about what happened because they didn't make any kind of drastic changes. The Saints, of course, picking up Travis Etienne, which, by the way, man, is it one of those things where people knew how his name was supposed to be said and they were just rolling with it with this whole, now he comes here and says, yeah, by the way, this is my name, and we've been messing it up for 5 years?
I blame Dabo Sweeney. I just think Dabo called him ETN on the first day of practice, and Travis, because that's just his nature, just was like, all right, I'm going to go by ETN now. So honestly, truthfully, I want to blame Dabo, and that's no knock on Dabo. It's just, it fits too perfectly in the narrative.
I have no issues blaming Dabo. But regardless, this offseason for the Jaguars, you think it's more of kind of a buy-in that they felt like last year was a massive step in the right direction?
Yes, and I think that a lot of people look at the carryover from 22 to 23, in which there wasn't a lot of off-season movement, and now they look at this transition from 2025 to 2026 and there's not a lot of off-season movement, and they say, oh boy, they're resting on their laurels again. They think everybody who they need is already there. That's not the case. The Jaguars have kind of been strapped for cash, for lack of a better term, because of some of the dead money that they incurred, because a lot of their veteran pieces are entering contract years, from Eric Armstead and Devon Hamilton along the defensive line to Ezra Cleveland, their right guard or left guard, whatever he's playing these days. And so I think that ultimately they kind of already had the framework of the roster built just contractually, and that didn't free up a lot of wiggle room. I think where you are going to see a change in this team, and I've said it's the biggest acquisition of the offseason, in my opinion, is in terms of their commitment to running the ball and being a stronger, more physical run game. They brought in Brian Pacucci, who has long been the right-hand man to Liam Cohen. Of course, he wasn't able to bring him with him from Tampa last year because it was blocked, and he eventually assumed the offensive line coach position in Tampa for the Buccaneers. And so, with that acquisition of him coming up I-95 to join Liam and reunite here in Jacksonville, you're already seeing, I think, the returns, coupled with the drafting of Emmanuel Pregnon, the growth of Wyatt Milam, Jonah Monheim in the offensive line room. They obviously went out, reunited with another former Liam Cohen piece, if you may, from his Kentucky days, and Chris Rodriguez, who they signed off of the Washington Redskins roster when they matched the offer sheet with C-Rod being a fourth-year player in the league. And he's a great example of, he is, yes, a short yardage back, but he is, if you look at his yards after contact, that's the type of bull in a china shop, or as Liam calls it, glass eater, they didn't have last year. Bashal Tutin perhaps miscast as a short yardage back just because they didn't have anyone to fill that role. Bashal's superpower is going left to right, sideline to sideline, and one jump cut, get up the field with that 4.29 speed. He's going to get a chance to play that role this year because they've added C-Rod. And so that's where I think, even if the personnel didn't change all that much, you will see a different look from this Jaguars offense.
Mia O'Brien is our guest, talking Jacksonville Jaguars here on Preview 32. Travis Hunter, of course, season cut short last year due to injury, and then it's kind of just sounded like they are slowly moving him towards focusing on the defensive side of the football. What do you make of what that balance might still be moving forward, given that we did see some flashes of him looking awesome on offense last year, and kind of the idea that, maybe they are going to continue to tweak that as his career goes on?
Yeah, I think that there's still plenty of the offensive playbook that calls for Travis Hunter. I will just echo what James Gladstone, the GM, said back in January, which was, when you looked at the roster as it was constructed going into this year, it just necessitated Travis to play more corner. At that time, they had two cornerbacks under contract, and Jordan Lewis, who was coming off of a Lisfranc injury, and Jarian Jones. And because of that, they not only had to say to Travis Hunter, you're probably going to have to carry a heavier load on defense. They did re-sign Buster Brown to a 3-year deal. They did extend a 4th-year qualifying offer to Christian Braswell, who was a restricted free agent. And so they've fleshed that room out with a lot of the same faces. But back in January, it wasn't a guarantee they were going to get those two players back. And so that's where I think the plan of, hey, let's really start getting him in the defensive playbook a little bit more probably came into play. But make no mistake about it, he's still playing offense. He's still playing wide receiver. I still expect him to play both ways once we get to game time. I just think that you will see more of him on defense than you did a year ago, and that was by design from the jump, just because the offensive playbook, a little bit more intricate to learn than a defensive playbook in the NFL. Make no mistake about it, though, I've heard this from multiple players who are either on the Jaguars or no longer on the Jaguars. This is the most difficult offensive playbook in the NFL and the most difficult defensive playbook in the NFL, and he is having to learn both.
Well, it kind of goes in conjunction with one of our questions that we're asking all of our Preview 32 guests this year. Is he the most important player then on this Jacksonville roster, or is it somebody else in your opinion?
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say that. I would probably say Trayvon Walker, just because he really is the straw that stirs the drink. I would expect him to kick inside to the 3 technique position a lot more in 2026 as they continue to evolve Anthony Campanelli's defense now in year 2. He'll still be your starting edge opposite Josh Hines-Allen, but they really liked what they got out of Dennis Gardick, the journeyman special teams ace. When they started lining him up at a wide 9 from the Sam linebacker position, he'd creep up to the line of scrimmage, and he's really reassumed that role and then some here during training camp. And then you couple that with the evolution of Green and Strigow, and it says, all right, maybe we can kick Trayvon inside a little bit where he's an absolute mismatch with a guard. And even if he's not putting up the sack numbers that a quote-unquote number 1 overall pick is supposed to, he is also creating such havoc for the opposition that you can't contain him. And that's where I think that ultimately he sets up other guys to make plays, including Travis Hunter and the back end in that secondary. So I would say Trayvon Walker is the player who undoubtedly most important on this roster. And additionally, people forget last year he played through injury, played with the club on his hand, played with a knee injury. Missed 3 games, I think, total it ended up being. But he was banged up the whole year. That's why the sack production dipped after back-to-back 10-sack seasons. I would look for Trayvon to bounce back so long as he's healthy in a big way in 2026.
And we'll close it with this, and I imagine you have a good answer for me on it, just the way that you cover the team. Who's somebody that's a little under the radar, not getting talked about a ton, that you think has a chance to really, really help the Jags this year?
Ooh, well, I'm assuming you've heard the name Parker Washington, so I don't think I have to say that anymore.
That's fair.
Okay. All right. So we won't say Parker. I'll give you 2, just because I think that I'll give you two duos, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because the Jaguars, for whatever the reason, have gotten a lot of flack about the lack of depth, quote unquote, in their wide receiver room. I think that's laughable. I think the Jaguars, when it's all said and done, may have one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL. Because you've got Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers. Oh, and by the way, Travis Hunter's your 4th. The 2 players in that room that I would tell you to keep an eye out for, Josh Cameron out of Baylor, the 6th-round rookie receiver and returner, and then C.J. Williams, also a 6th-round pick this year, the wide receiver out of Stanford. Those 2 dudes have earned wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, and with Washington's elevated role in the offense, I would expect Cameron to become their primary kick and punt returner. And both of them fit that Duval DNA to a T. They're competitive. They're bigger-bodied guys, which the Jaguars wide receiver room did not have. They are willing blockers. And it doesn't matter if it's Trevor Lawrence, Nick Mullins, Carter Bradley throwing the football. They catch everything. Liam Cohen said earlier this offseason that Josh Cameron's strength, his superpower, is actually something that he said people get paid a lot of money to do in the NFL, and that's draw PI calls. That is something that you see every single day. I feel like he's getting called. Like he is forcing the defense to be flagged for a PI every day in practice. And then you couple that with, and I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but when he's in the open field, I don't want to call it Puka Nacua, but you know how Puka Nacua kind of runs like a cartoon character, and he just boom, 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 like knocking guys down. That's what both those dudes look like. And so I would say those 2, and I would also, of course, much like I'm sure a lot of your other 32 guests that you're going to be having during this program, the 2 tight ends they drafted. Everyone's drafting tight ends. 13 and 12 personnel are obviously in vogue, but I think what's been really exciting to see has been not only Nate Forkercher is the blocker that many believed he to be, even though the fantasy football community was not happy that he was drafted in the 2nd round, and then Tanner Koziel, who led all college tight ends in receptions and receiving yards last year in the 5th round, is actually more of a physical blocker than I think a lot of people expected him to be. He's quickly rose the depth chart. He's ahead of a couple of veterans who the Jaguars paid over the last 2 off seasons. And so those 4 young pass catchers, they may not be active week 1, but they will all be active come week 18.
I love it. I love it. As always, thank you, Mia, for doing this. Continued success. Enjoy hearing you on ESPN Radio from time to time as well, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. I'll be on tonight 8 to 10 with Ian Fitzsimmons, but for those who don't know, now on Thursdays and Fridays with Q Myers. For you guys, that's 9 to 12. So I guess for you guys, it's 7 to 9 with Ian tonight. Central, Eastern time. You know how it goes. But yes, and then even more so, since I know I talked to Matt Moscona about this, very much looking forward to being the host on Saturday nights after those LSU and Premier college football games in the evening time.
There you go. That is very true. So you will be hearing Mia more on our station, especially those late nights when football season gets into full swing. All right, we will take a break. We've got more coming up. As we mentioned, we'll be talking Arizona Cardinals at the bottom of the hour, but we'll come back, give some updates, reset some things, and keep moving things along on a Friday. You're listening to The LohDown.
This is The LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch. and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Are your pipes giving you problems? Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait for a plumbing disaster. Call the experts at Ace Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers for over 30 years. At Ace Plumbing, we do it all. Clogged drains, water heater repairs, pipe replacements, and more. With decades of experience, we deliver fast, reliable, and affordable solutions for your home or business.
Ace Plumbing fixed my burst pipe in no time, and the price was great. They're the only plumbers I trust.
From small leaks to big emergencies, Ace Plumbing is just one call away. We're available 24/7 because plumbing problems don't wait. Call Ace Plumbing today at 337-565-2519 or visit us online at aceplumbinginc.com. That's 337-565-2519.
Ace Plumbing, your personal plumber. Let us give you a hand.
BB's Auto Sales has been serving Acadiana since 1966. Cleanest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Need financing? No problem. BB's offers easy financing for all credit types, including in-house financing. Plus, they're paying top dollar for your trade. Voted top 3 dealership in Community Choice Awards 2 years in a row. Visit BB's Auto Sales, 2 convenient locations off Johnston Street and in Abbeville. bbsautosales.com. Cleanest cars in Acadiana.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV. Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch Meet TV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
This is ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Another piece of news that came out once we were off the airwaves yesterday. We had some social media posts about it, but Cade Anderson did get called up for the Seattle Mariners. So many of you will remember Cade as a left-handed ace that helped LSU get and win the College World Series. But Cade has been pitching now for the AA affiliate of the Mariners. So here's where it's just a little surprising. Not surprising that he's getting a promotion because he's been flat out dominant in AA ball this year. 10-1 with a 1.06 ERA for Anderson in 93 1/3 innings pitched. I mean, that is ridiculous numbers. I mean, for comparison's point, he never finished with an ERA lower than 3 in either of his 2 full seasons at LSU. And he's got an ERA almost under 1 in AA baseball. He's been pitching for the Arkansas Travelers. I think I said Tulsa Drillers earlier today when I was on the Jordy Holtberg show, so I missed it. I messed it up there. It's the Arkansas Travelers of the Texas League. And so he's been flat out dominant. The only reason where you go, hey, maybe it's surprising. Oh, and one of my other favorite stats. Anderson averaged 13.9 strikeouts and 4.7 walks per 9 innings his first year at LSU. His second year, he kept the strikeout percentage roughly the same, 13.6, but dropped the walks, basically cut it in half to 2.6. He's pretty much cut the walks in half again now in his time in pro ball. 1.3 walks per 9 innings, and he's still at 13 strikeouts per 9. So he's been unbelievable. But he's skipping AAA outright. So he has made 0 outings. He has made 0 starts, 0 appearances in AAA baseball, and they're bringing him straight up to the big league club. Sometimes that can be a little bit more overrated than others. Some minor leagues are notoriously offensive friendly and defensive friendly. I do think the Texas League is more defensive friendly in general. But Cade, look, the crazy thing is he's only 21 years old, too. I think we just think of, at least I think of him because of that LSU run as being maybe a veteran player, but that is not the case age-wise. He is only 21 years old, and so he's going to make his debut for the Mariners. Now, you ask yourself, why now for Seattle? I don't know this for sure. I know sometimes big league clubs wait to call players up because they can manipulate the service time, or at least that was a thing in the past. I know they've tried to make that, they've tried to de-incentivize that, have the big league, so that young players can make their way up to the big league sooner. But I have a hard time imagining Seattle isn't looking at this division race and going, well, we were kind of trying to get ourselves out of the mix, but y'all are just letting us hang around because the Astros are only 4 games ahead of Seattle now, even with what's been a pretty disastrous month of August for the Mariners so far, and July wasn't much better. They've failed to take advantage of these opportunities, but they're still looking up at the standings going, wait a minute, we're 4 back? So they might be thinking to themselves, if Cade Anderson can give us a boost, why not us? Now, there is a chance that Cade makes a couple outings in the big leagues and they send him back down to work on some more stuff in AAA or back to AA even. But regardless, he's going to make his major league debut tomorrow. So the Mariners are facing off with the Chicago Cubs. It is a 6:15 start time. And how about this? It's actually a national TV Fox game. But no, they have the Mariners slated to. I love when I do this and I have this all mapped out for the entire weekend. And then now the starting pitching projected says Dylan Woo's going to pitch, and Cade Anderson is not on there. So that is now got me confused, but he was called up. They said he was going to start tomorrow. Now the Mariners are listing Dylan Woo as their projected starter, so we'll have to see if anything gets updated on that. For now, though, it still does appear, and maybe they're just going to bring him in out of the bullpen. I guess that's possible as well, but I am surprised to see that he's not listed as the projected starter tomorrow, so we'll see if we get you an update on that in the break, and if we do, we'll give it to you at the end of the show. For now, though, let's take a timeout. When we return, we will once again talk some NFL here. We'll go from the East Coast and the Jacksonville Jaguars all the way out to the West Coast and the Arizona Cardinals. For the Cardinals, it was a fascinating season a year ago. Right? They certainly did not have their best year, and they decided to move on from Kyler Murray. They detached themselves from him. They've got some really good young talent on this roster, but can they put it together? What is that defense going to look like? A lot of questions to answer in Arizona. They've got a quarterback battle, by the way, that includes Jacoby Brissett and James's favorite, Gardner Minshew, with Carson Beck in the third slot there. So I don't know what to make of the Cardinals. Maybe our friend Alex Clancy can help us with that conversation. He joins us after the timeout to do Preview 32 on the Arizona Cardinals. This is the LohDown on a Friday. Stay tuned.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros were dismantled by the Los Angeles Angels last night, falling in the series rubber match 18-3. With the loss, the Astros are back to even 500 with 64 wins and 64 losses. Their division lead sits at 1 game over the Rangers, and they'll begin a 3-game series against the A's tonight at 7:10. You can listen to the action of that one on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles. The NFL preseason rolls on all weekend, and the New Orleans Saints will be out in Los Angeles to face the Rams on Saturday. Kickoff from SoFi Stadium is set for 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon as players look to move further towards solidifying their roster spots. Former Louisiana Raging Cajuns baseball player Lee Amade appears to be back in the fold after a judge ruling gave players back their 5th year of eligibility. Amade will begin practicing with the team again in hopes of playing another season with UL in 2027. Former LSU baseball pitcher Cade Anderson is getting his chance in the big leagues. The top prospect was called up by the Seattle Mariners, and he will make his major league debut tomorrow. After 43 years in college athletics, former LSU staffer and SEC head of communications Herb Vincent will be retiring after this college football season. And on the PGA Tour, it was a 5-way tie for the lead after one round at the BMW Championship, the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Rory McIlroy and 4 others all led the way, shooting a 6-under 64. Round 2 will take place today from St. Louis, Missouri.
I'm Dawson Eislow, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Need peace of mind with your estate planning? Turn to Bill and Abear, your trusted Acadiana hometown lawyers. At Bill and Abear, we make estate planning simple and stress-free, ensuring your legacy is secure and your future is in the right hands. Don't wait. Schedule your consultation today at BillAbear.com. That's BillAbear.com. Safeguarding your tomorrow today.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch Meet TV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
What is dementia? Is it the same as Alzheimer's? What is vascular dementia, Lewy body, FTD, TBI, and CTE? If someone has memory loss, does that mean they have dementia? Millions of Americans ask these questions every day. I did too, and I learned. My wife Ginny developed dementia. I didn't know what to do or what was coming next. I'm Kevin Jameson, volunteer and president of the Dementia Society of America. I'm excited to offer you a free guide to understanding dementia. It's filled with facts about dementia, care planning, how doctors can help, and ways to keep your brain as healthy as possible. The Dementia Society of America is a national nonprofit, and we're ready to answer your questions. You want to live life to the fullest. I know that. Ginny did too, and I'm confident that we can help. Get your copy of the guide. Go to 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or call 1-800-DEMENTIA. Thank you.
The NFL season is closer than you think. And D-Loh wants to make sure you're prepared once it's here.
I like this kind of party.
It's time for Preview 32 on the LohDown.
That is right. Preview 32 rolls on. The Arizona Cardinals are team number 7 on the list this year. Today we did teams from each coast. The Jaguars earlier, now the Cardinals. We have with us Alex Clancy, host of the Locked On Cardinals podcast. Alex, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, man, I said it before we went to break. Like, this is obviously a year where I'm sure the Cardinals fan base isn't quite as juiced up as they've been in other years. Some turnover, quarterback situation, what Kyler Murray, it just never quite fully clicked there, despite a couple flashes where it looked like maybe it might. What do you make of them just officially closing the book on that saga and having a chance to potentially start fresh here?
It's like eating the same meal every day for a year that you don't love, but it's definitely not close to the worst thing you've ever eaten. It's kind of that, where it's like the peaks were great. The pitfalls were significantly more impactful than the peaks. And I think at a certain point you got to look in the mirror and be like, hey, this ain't working. I think the real impetus for it was seeing Jacoby Brissett come out after Kyler Murray got hurt last year, and this offense looked like it was working with 40% more room on the field than it was with Kyler Murray.
And so that does create for a situation now, which, by the way, it's kind of forgotten that this team actually started 2-0 last year and then, of course, only won one game the rest of the way. Is Brissett bridge quarterback is almost a disrespectful term, but I mean, I guess it does make sense when you're kind of describing what's going on. What are the hopes and or the expectations for what he can be in an Arizona uniform?
The floor is going to be higher than what it's been, which is something that is welcomed by an offense that is typically pretty seamlessly run by whatever quarterback is running it with this offense, with the McVay-Shanahan offense. So I think that he's going to be in a good situation with by far the best offensive skill position players group he's ever had, a good offensive line to be much more effective than people think. I mean, what's to say, and this is crazy, I know, but nobody saw Geno Smith coming out of nowhere. Nobody saw him coming out of nowhere and doing what he did in Seattle. Their defense was very good. They had a very good run game, pretty good O-line. I'm not saying he's going to reach that level where the Cardinals are going to win 10 games this year, but he is going to be much more competent of a quarterback than people think.
What have you made of Mike LaFleur and what he's, said and done since taking over and trying to obviously, install his own systems and ways of doing things?
So the introductory press conference was rough. It wasn't like he stuck his foot in his mouth or that he was uncomfortable. It was kind of a ramble fest of, thanking the other organizations and everything. His brother was there. It was cool. He was kind of quirky. And then he's really become chiseled in the sense that you can just tell when guys are football guys, and he's just a football guy. He says some weird stuff. He's a funny guy, but he's not Mike McDaniel or something like that, completely eccentric like that. He seems very comfortable in what he's doing, and I think because the offense so far has seemed to have worked at a super high and efficient level, even though they're preseason games, lends to him becoming a little bit more comfortable, maybe more quickly than he would have thought.
Well, yeah, I want to ask you about a couple players in particular on this offense. I think it kind of gets lost in the shuffle, the difference between fantasy football and real football sometimes. But yeah. I think we all can agree Marvin Harrison just hasn't quite been what we thought he was going to be so far. What are some of the reasons for that? Of course, some of the clunky offensive, quarterback play, things of that nature contribute to it. But is he ready to take a jump, you think, at some point soon?
Yes. I think that this is the year. I think with what Drew Petzing did and what Mike LaFleur is going to be able to do, Nathaniel Hackett and Mike LaFleur, even though, the overarching umbrella under them isn't the sexiest. Nathaniel Hackett was unceremoniously removed from Denver, and then he went to the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers popped his Achilles, and along were the days of the 2021 Green Bay Packers where they had the number one offense and they just had Devontae Adams and two running backs and Aaron Rodgers. This is going to be a very, very good ecosystem for a young man to take a leap.
Now, Jeremiah Love, on the other hand, the excitement level through the roof. A lot of people thought he could have been the best player overall in last year's draft class. Of course, we're going to see them maybe slowly get him around, make sure he's fully ready to roll for the start of the season. But, it's hard to imagine this guy not being an immediate impact player in the league.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing. Yes, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be great. I don't knock Mike LaFleur for having him get those 14 touches in his first action. He's 20 years old. You've got to get him, ready and acclimated to the offense. The thing is, though, after signing Tyler Algier first and then drafting Jeremiah Love at 3, it seems as though it's going to be much closer to a 60-40, 65-35 split, or maybe even tighter, because I thought Tyler Algier was going to be the starting running back for this team in 2026, and I was stoked. This dude, just take the Bijan Robinson restrictor plate off, and this guy's going to be a stud. So he's going to be an integral part of this offense. He is going to elevate this offense, but I think people are going to be a little bit disappointed when you look at his numbers at year end for the amount of rushing yards and the amount of touchdowns he has. But the pass game, that's something that could be completely unlocked, even though he wasn't a massive pass catcher in college. Like, they can do whatever they want with him, and they need speed in the wide receiver room and, and running routes. So I think people are going to be surprised with more of the balls that he catches this season.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Algier can't get away from generational top running back selections at this point. So we'll see. We'll see how he fits in with this Arizona offense, as you mentioned. What about this Cardinals defense? I mean, there was a stretch where they were starting to get really fun and interesting, and I know last year kind of got off the rails from them a little bit, just as a whole. What about the young talent that this defense has, and how they can maybe try and take a step in 26?
You just got to stay on the field, man. Like, I'm not one. I think that it is loser mentality is harsh, but I think if you ever blame injuries for losing, it's like, well, injuries happen all the time. Last year, everybody got hurt every game, and the difference is it wasn't the same player who was missing extended periods of time. It was a different player missed every week, and it's very difficult when you have a defensive scheme like Nick Rallis does, which is very amoeba-like. It's not a traditional static defense, to be able to build momentum. Walter Nolan, he's going to be an absolute terror. Like, Walter Nolan is going to be that name where it's like, oh, man, that guy had 10 sacks again from the interior this year. He made another Pro Bowl if he can stay healthy. Garrett Williams was just activated off the physically unable to perform list, former third-round pick, and he only dropped to that because he tore his ACL the last month when he was at Syracuse. He was slated as one of the best nickel corners in football before he got hurt last year. Will Johnson, who was said to be a top 10 pick, dropped into the 40s because of some weird random rumors he had a knee injury, which he didn't. This team is equipped with blue chip talent coming out of college that hasn't reached that level yet. And I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if they're just not hitting the ground running as much as they need to right away. But this defense could be a top 15 defense, or they could be a bottom 5 defense if the guys can't stay healthy.
Alex Clancy is our guest, Locked on Cardinals podcast, with us here, Preview 32, taking a look at the Arizona Cardinals in 2026. I was up in Canton, Ohio for the Hall of Fame week. I got to see the Cardinals and Panthers play in the Hall of Fame game, and Carson Beck was balling, man. And I have not been a big Carson Beck guy during his Miami days, even before that at Georgia, but I was certainly impressed with what he did in the preseason. What do the Cardinals think of this kid? Like, what is he going to have to show them to have a shot to maybe, stick on the roster as a backup and maybe have a chance to be the guy at some point?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man, because he had the elbow injury, and then he's fully removed from that. And if he works, it's going to be like, well, obviously he was going to work. He was looked to be the number 1 pick 3 years ago. Then he got hurt. So like, there's that in the back of your mind, which is that just a fool's errand to follow that trail? Like, what I saw from so far, so good. He's run pro-style offenses before. The offensive line was blocking well for him. Like, he looked not rattled, which is great. Like, all of those intangibles are amazing. And it was also the Hall of Fame game, which is like the Pro Bowl to the preseason. It's like, who cares? Like, so, but it's got to be a balance of both, because those games matter to every single person on that field who are playing, trying to make roster spots. So when it comes to this year, unfortunately, if you see Carson Beck, that means everything went incredibly wrong, which stinks for him, because the Cardinals have a fiduciary responsibility to play the best quarterback. So if the Cardinals are losing, he plays, probably not going to be the best situation. But, you'll see, like, they want the Tyler Shuck moment. They want to see, hey, let's give this guy 6 or 7 games and see what you got, and then maybe he can grow. I just don't know. I think the Cardinals are going to win more games than people think, which could, weaken his ability to play by week 9 or week 10 like he would if everything crumbled before that.
We're asking all of our Preview 32 guests this year for the most important player on the team. Who's the guy that's just irreplaceable on this Cardinals roster?
Oh, gosh. Do people struggle with this? Like, am I already behind the curve by not answering right away?
I guess it's interesting in that they don't have the easy answer of the franchise quarterback. They are a little bit of a different spot than a lot of teams, right?
Yeah. I would probably say going into 2026 is Walter Nolan, because they need as much pressure as they can get up front alongside Josh Sweat. And if they can't pressure the quarterback, there's going to be a lot of, Blake Bortles from 2013 or whatever it was when they score 30 and give up 40 in Jacksonville. Like, you're going to see a lot of that from the Cardinals this year. So hopefully Walter Nolan can stay on the field, get his conditioning right to be a three-down guy, and wreak havoc on the interior.
What about somebody who's a little under the radar? I mean, you already mentioned Algier. That could probably qualify here, but who's somebody that people aren't talking about enough that's going to have a big year for the Cardinals?
I'm going to stay on the defense because the offense is pretty much like you could say Marv, you could say Michael Wilson. Like, everybody knows those people, especially with what happened in fantasy football last year. Mac Wilson is a name who he's played off-ball backer since coming over from New England, where he played outside. He's the heartbeat of this defense. He is that second level. When he went down last year and went on IR, that's when everything officially crumbled. So having his veteran presence, he's great in coverage. He's great rushing the quarterback. You'd like to see him play a little bit more outside because they need help there. But Mac Wilson's a very undervalued name around the league, or unknown name around the league. He is fantastic for this Cardinals defense.
You already said it. You think this team's going to win more games than people think they are.
Yeah.
But part of the reason that people probably are struggling with them is looking around at who they got to play twice this season, right? And that's the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks. Now, the Niners have this whole curse thing, this electrical station that's just zapping their players unavailable. So we'll see if they've even got 11 left to suit up by the time that game comes around. But what do you make of the Rams, just Avengers-style super team being built? And, oh, by the way, the defending Super Bowl champs also in the division.
Not ideal, not great. It's not fantastic. And the thing that stinks, sorry, to speak like an adult, is usually it's cyclical, right? Usually teams get good and then they struggle, and then, the schedules and everything. For some reason, the 49ers have a top 10 easiest schedule every year. I know part of that is because they play the Cardinals twice. But with Seattle, like, statistically speaking, there's no reason why the Seattle offense should have done what they did last year, just by every advanced measure. So for me, I think the Cardinals can beat, like they always play the 49ers tough, usually, of late. So I think the Cardinals can get 2 wins out of the division. I think the Rams are going to score 1 million points and give up 6, which is terrible. So, I mean, who knows, though? Every time you look into a year predicated upon what happened last year, and then everything changes when the season starts. I do think the Rams are going to be insane, though.
Yeah, this Aaron Donald thing where it's just like he just wants this dramatic entry. Like, we all know he's going to play, and they're like, well, I mean, maybe. It's like, could you just put him on the roster so we could just move on with our lives? It's like, look, it's getting a little LeBron. It's getting a little LeBron to me.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. Just tell us. So we're not seeing Aaron Donald under our bed, like Chuck Norris or the boogeyman.
Oh, it is true. All right, man. Thank you for doing this. Enjoy the season. I'm sure we will we'll catch up with you again as the games get going. But if not, enjoy it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, and it's interesting. I'm excited to know those 2 names though he gave me. Maybe the 2 most intriguing so far, the answers to those questions. Walter Nolan being the most important on this roster in his opinion at that defensive tackle spot, second-year player to Ole Miss. And then Mac Wilson, which I do think qualifies. That's a perfect answer for this. I think that's a player who is under the radar in his like big picture acknowledgement of everyone knowing who he is. But it's like if you're around the Cardinals, you probably know that guy's going to be a really, really good player, probably for a long time as well. So I like that. All right, we knocked 2 more of them out. We've got the Jaguars and the Cardinals down. If you're just joining us, Preview 32, where we take a look at each one of these teams. Someone who covers the team joins us to educate us on them. We've knocked out the Bucs, the Bears, the Falcons, the Giants, the Ravens, the Jaguars, and now the Cardinals. I can just tell you this. I won't go through all of them, but next week we will be talking about the Carolina Panthers with Jake DeLome. We will be talking about a bunch of teams that I think have like wide ranges of outcomes that are possible for them. I think that's kind of how I describe it. The Houston Texans with our friend John Hickman will be next week as well. I think they're a perfect candidate for that. A lot of people that think Texans could win the division and be a contender. If the Texans have kind of a disaster year and they're asking tough questions about C.J. Stroud at the end of the season, I don't think I'd be fully shocked by that one either. So we've got a lot more of these already lined up for next week. We're going to add a few more to the schedule over the weekend, and tomorrow or next week's guest list, I should say, is going to be absolutely loaded. I will tell you this, Monday, which we usually only have Jay Walker on, we will have Jake Walker and Jake DeLome. Jake, of course, talking about the Carolina Panthers with us. Jay Walker will talk Cajuns football. So a lot to get to on Monday's edition of the show. But first off, we got one more segment in today's edition. So let's do this. Let's knock out our final timeout. When we come back, We will take a look. We'll go back to the BMW Championship, just see what the leaderboard's looking like as we head towards the weekend. And we will set you up for AFR and more. That's next.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Look, if you want to take ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station with you wherever you go, all you have to do is download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app powered by Moss Motors. It's your one-stop shop for all things ESPN 1037 Lafayette, 1041 Lake Charles. You can use the app to stream all of our local shows, and not only the 1037 app, but all of our Delta Media family of stations have their own app that will stream high school football this season on Friday nights. Of course, that is getting going as well. So that way, no matter where you are, you can listen to Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
Delta Media is your home for Friday Night Football. STM on ESPN 1037, North Vermilion on 1063 Lafayette, Catholic High of New Iberia on Mustang 1071 FM, St. Landry Parish Game of the Week on Z1059, LRCA on News Talk 98.5 FM, and Barb on ESPN 1041. Listen to the games on the radio or on each station's free mobile app. Delta Media has you covered for thrilling Friday Night Football.
Around Acadiana, community means supporting the businesses that make our hometown special. That's why we're proud to spotlight local companies that are certified South Louisiana.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana. Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one number 1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on United States Deputy Sheriff's Association, please visit usdeputy.org.
ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles is the #1 rated sports station in Louisiana, according to our mamas.
Mama said that. Mama said that. My mama said that. My mama said.
Back to more of our mama's favorite sports station.
All right, we got a couple things for you here in this last segment of the week. First off, really nice-looking leaderboard shaping up at the BMW Championship. It is the second playoff event in the FedEx Cup playoffs. If you don't understand exactly how the FedEx Cup playoffs work, it's okay because no one understands it. I don't think the players understand it. But J.J. Spawn is leading the way. He's 10 under par. He shot a 4 under 66 today. He's the solo leader with Chris Gotterup, Gary Woodland tied for second at 9 under, Patrick Cantlay, Michael Thorbjornsen, Sung J.M., Wyndham Clark all at 8 under, tied for fourth, and then Rory McIlroy's in solo 8th at 7 under par. Told you Scotty had a really rough day yesterday. He did bounce back and play much better today. Matter of fact, got himself all the way to 2 under for the tournament, 4 under for the day, and he's now in a tie for 27th. So the Tour Championship next week at East Lake. The top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings after this week, are the ones who move on. So the live bubble, they have at least made this a little bit easier to follow on the app. The live bubble shows you who's kind of right there in risk of falling below and who's right above it. Adam Scott's in 25th in the standings right now, and this is like including the points they would get if they finish the tournament where they are right now, right? So keep that in mind. Scott, 25th, Justin Rose, 26th, Ryan Fox, 27th, Tom Kim, 28th, Sung J M, 29th, Michael Thor Bjornsson, 30th. Then right below the cut line, Patrick Cantlay, Kurt Kitayama, Ricky Fowler, Bud Cauley, JT Poston, and Robert McIntyre. So those guys all need to surge their way up the leaderboards the rest of the weekend. The ones that are right on top of the cut line need to either stay where they are or get themselves in a little better position so they don't have to sweat it all the way down the entire weekend. So that should be a fun tournament to keep track of there. At a course, by the way, that's hosted a major championship. Belle Rive has hosted the PGA Championship back in, I think, 2018, if I have that right, 8 years ago. The other news that we have to share with you before we depart for the day is NBA, of all things. Haven't talked NBA in a while on the show. Klay Thompson has a new team. So apparently he has successfully negotiated a buyout with the Mavericks to get rid of that contract. And so the Mavericks will release him after the buyout, and then he will be signing with the Miami Heat. So Klay Thompson, I'll tell you what, Klay Thompson wanting to go hang out in Miami and play with Giannis, that doesn't stun me. So, look, I don't know how much really good basketball Thompson's got left in the tank. We know all the injuries he's had to come back from and all that stuff, but at worst, adds a shooter to the roster, and you know when you have a player like Giannis, you need a lot of good shooting around him to keep the floor spaced with everything that he occupies inside, and of course, he is not a shooter himself. So, you know, you already have Bam, Klay, and Giannis, which I don't know if Klay's really part of the core there of that roster, as more of a peripheral piece. That doesn't scream out to me like the perfect fit of players that are going to work well together. I know obviously there was dreams of them getting LeBron back in the fold to kind of help that out, and I do think that would have been really nice for them to add a piece that can kind of orchestrate and be a maestro at times. Not exactly sure. They've also got Andrew Wiggins in the mix over there, Davion Mitchell, the young guard, who they are high on. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes the Heat legit contenders or not, but that is where Klay Thompson is headed. Astros transaction news. This is fresh off the press. Chandler Rome tweeted this 2 minutes ago. Kai Wang Tang has been called up. He spent some time in the big leagues this year with the Stros, but has also spent some time in AAA. Brian King's been optioned. It's been a really brutal summer for King, who had a great start to the season. Nice story. McNeese guy with some local ties there, was doing really good things for the Astros. He's hit a brick wall. I think I saw a stat yesterday, 13 earned runs allowed in his last 13 innings pitched. So has really been problematic for the Astros in that bullpen. At one point, it kind of seemed like he was going to be a legit setup option, like kind of get you to Josh Hader, because he was pitching that well. It has gone the other direction, and he's now been optioned to AAA. So we'll see if Kai Wang Tang gets a chance to help the Astros at any point soon. Tonight, by the way, they play the Sacramento, Oakland, Vegas A's. I don't know what to call them. The funny thing is they don't even have a name on the MLB website. They're just the Athletics. So they play the Athletics like it's a travel baseball team or something. Hayden Wesneski pitches for the Stros. I know Kevin probably wasn't super positive on his show today. I say probably. I heard it because I was producing it. But there is a window here. But if the Astros want to take advantage of playing the teams that don't have great records, the A's are kind of one of their last opportunities to do so. Because after that, the Astros play the Yankees, the Mets, who aren't good, but then the White Sox, Diamondbacks, Phillies, Rays, all in a row, who are all in playoff position right now. The Mets, the only team in that stretch that would not be a postseason team if the playoffs started today. So there's some really tough teams coming down the pipeline, and ironically enough, the Astros have actually played better against the better teams this year. For whatever reason, they have a 19-14 record against teams above 500. They're well below 500 against teams that are below 500. So figure that one out for me. I don't have it for you. But they start a 3-game set with the A's this weekend, who have lost 4 straight. It would behoove the Astros to get some wins and try to create some distance between them and the Rangers and them and the Mariners. All right, that'll do it for the Lowdown this week. Appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you to our guests here on a Friday. Chasten Tavares, live from Toledo Bend. Mia O'Brien talking Jacksonville Jaguars. Alex Clancy talking Arizona Cardinals. As I mentioned before, Jake DeLome and Jay Walker on a Monday. That's the lineup. It'll be a normal show, 1 to 3, live here in the Beal and Hebert studios. Full week of normal shows next week, 1 to 3 every single day. For now, we turn things over to AFR. Thanks to James Mesh as well. As I mentioned, have a safe and happy weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. This has been The Lowdown.
What is dementia? Is it the same as Alzheimer's? What is vascular dementia, Lewy body, FTD, TBI, and CTE? If someone has memory loss, does that mean they have dementia? Millions of Americans ask these questions every day. I did too, and I learned. My wife Ginny developed dementia. I didn't know what to do or what was coming next. I'm Kevin Jameson, volunteer and president of the Dementia Society of America. I'm excited to offer you a free guide to understanding dementia. It's filled with facts about dementia, care planning, how doctors can help, and ways to keep your brain as healthy as possible. The Dementia Society